The night sky above the New Mexico desert was clear and full of stars. Noah Patterson sat alone in the small observatory, his eyes fixed on the computer screen. Numbers and charts filled the display as the large telescope outside scanned the heavens. Noah was 32 years old with dark brown hair that was always messy. He wore glasses that kept sliding down his nose, and he pushed them back up without thinking. He loved the stars more than anything else in the world. That's why he worked, here far from any city, where the night sky was at its most beautiful. That's strange, Noah said to himself as a new set of readings appeared on his screen. The computer had found something unusual, a burst of energy coming from a point in the sky where there should be nothing special. According to the rule book, on his desk Noah should call his boss right away when something like this happened. But it was 3 a.m, and he was sure it was just a mistake in the equipment. Why wake everyone up for nothing? He ran more scans, checking and double-checking the readings. The energy signature was like nothing he had ever seen before. It wasn't a star or a planet or any normal space phenomenon. And strangest of all, the computer said that whatever it was had just hit the Earth, somewhere in the desert not far from the observatory. I'll just take a quick look myself, Noah decided, breaking the first rule. He wrote down the coordinates where the object had supposedly landed, grabbed his jacket, and headed out to his old pickup truck. The drive took nearly an hour, bouncing along dirt roads that barely deserved the name. As the first light of dawn began to appear, Noah parked his truck and continued on foot. He climbed over rocks and walked through dry creek beds, following the GPS on his phone. Then he saw it, a deep groove in the earth that led to a hidden canyon. Something had crashed here, something big. Noah's heart raced as he followed the trail. What he found made him stop in his tracks. In the center of the canyon sat a ship unlike anything he had ever seen. It was about the size of a small house, shaped like a teardrop, with a surface that shimmered with colors that seemed to change as he looked at them. The strangest thing was that the ship appeared completely undamaged, despite the long crater behind it showing it had crashed at high speed. "This can't be real," Noah whispered. He knew he should call someone, the police, the military, his boss, anyone, but curiosity pulled him forward. He approached the ship slowly. There were no markings, no windows, no obvious door. The surface was smooth like polished metal, but it seemed to glow slightly from within. Noah reached out his hand, unable to resist the urge to touch it. The moment his fingers made contact with the ship, a line of light appeared under his hand. The line grew wider, forming the outline of a doorway. With a soft hiss, a section of the hull slid open. Noah stepped back, suddenly aware that he had just broken the most important rule of all: if you find something alien, don't touch it. The opening revealed a dimly lit interior. Noah peered inside, squinting to see better. That's when he saw her. A woman stood in the doorway of the ship. At least, she looked mostly like a woman. Her skin was pale with a faint lavender tint, and her hair was silver white even though she appeared young. She wore a close-fitting outfit made of a material that seemed to flow like liquid metal. But it was her eyes that truly gave away her non-human nature. They were large, slightly almond-shaped, and a deep violet color with no visible whites. "You have touched the royal vessel," she said in perfect English, though her voice had a musical quality unlike any human voice. "Do you know what you have done?" Noah couldn't speak. He just shook his head. "I am Kira Vesh, Crown Princess of the Veshian Stellar Empire," she said. "And you have just initiated a binding claim according to the ancient laws of my people." I'm Noah," he managed to say. "Noah Patterson. I'm an astrophysicist. I thought your ship was a meteor." Kira Vesh stepped out of the ship, moving with a grace that seemed almost like she was floating. "Your touch was the first physical contact I have had with a being from your world. By the laws that have governed my people for 10,000 years, that constitutes a ceremonial claim." She looked at him with what seemed like a mixture of curiosity and concern. "In simple terms that you might understand, you have just begun the process of becoming my husband." Noah's mouth fell open. "That's not possible. I just touched your ship. I didn't agree to anything." "Intentions are irrelevant in matters of royal protocol," Kira Vesh explained. The laws were created to prevent diplomatic incidents during first contact situations. They are absolute. Before Noah could respond, a high-pitched sound came from inside the ship. Kiravesh turned quickly, her expression changing to one of alarm. "We have a more immediate problem," she said. "That sound means we have been found. The hunter ships will be here soon." "Hunter ships? Who's hunting you?" Noah asked, his mind still trying to process everything that was happening. "Commander Drazkul of the Imperial Guard," she said, her voice grim. "The man whose marriage arrangement I fled from. The man who will kill you if he finds you with me." As if to emphasize her point, a distant roar filled the sky. Noah looked up to see a streak of light cutting through the dawn. Something was entering the atmosphere, and it was coming their way. "We need to leave now," Kiravesh said, grabbing Noah's arm. Her touch sent a strange tingling sensation up his arm. "Your vehicle, how fast can it travel?" "It's just an old truck," Noah said as they began running toward where he had parked. "But it's better than nothing." As they reached the truck, Noah looked back at the beautiful alien ship one last time. Within moments, it shimmered and seemed to melt into the ground, disappearing from view. "Camouflage protocol," Kiravesh explained as she climbed into the passenger seat. "It will hide the ship, but not for long against Imperial scanners." Noah started the engine and drove as fast as he dared on the rough desert terrain. In the side mirror, he saw 3 points of light descending from the sky toward the canyon they had just left. "I don't understand any of this," Noah said as they bounced along the dirt road. "Why are you here? Why is someone chasing you? And what did you mean about me becoming your husband?" Kiravesh looked at him with those strange violet eyes. "I will. Explain everything, but first we must find a safe place. The man hunting me will not stop until he finds us, and when he does, he will not care that you are innocent in all this. To him, you are now his rival, and obstacles to Drazkul's desires tend to disappear permanently." As Noah drove back toward the observatory, the first rays of the sun illuminated the desert around them. In just one night, his normal life had vanished. Now he was driving a princess from another world away from danger, apparently engaged to her by alien law, and being hunted by a jealous Imperial commander. And the strangest part? Despite the fear and confusion, a small part of him felt more alive than he had in years. Noah's old truck raced along the desert road, kicking up dust behind it. Inside, he gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles were white. Next to him sat Kiravesh, the alien princess, her violet eyes scanning the sky for signs of pursuit. "We need to get somewhere safe," Noah said. "My observatory is the closest building, but it's not exactly a fortress." "It will not matter," Kiravesh replied. "The hunter ships have scanning technology that can find us anywhere on this planet. Our only advantage is that they will try to be discreet. Your world is classified as pre-contact. They cannot reveal themselves openly." Noah glanced at her. "Pre-contact? You mean your people have been watching us?" "For centuries," she confirmed. "We observe many developing worlds. The directive is clear. No interference until a species achieves sustainable faster-than-light travel on their own." "And I broke that directive when I touched your ship," Noah realized. "You broke many things without knowing," Kiravesh said with a small smile that looked surprisingly human. "The non-interference directive, the royal contact protocols, and—" She stopped as a loud boom shook the air around them. Noah looked in the rearview mirror. A pillar of smoke was rising from the direction of the observatory. "They're destroying the evidence," Kiravesh said quietly. "Erasing all records of my landing." Noah felt sick. "There were people there. My colleagues—" "Your people work at night, yes? But not in the morning?" Kiravesh asked. "The night shift would have ended. The day crew doesn't arrive until 9, Noah said, checking his watch. It was just after 7. They might be okay if no one came in early." Another explosion rocked the air. The truck swayed as the shock wave hit it. "We cannot go back there," Kiravesh said. "We need to keep moving." "Where? They can track us anywhere, right?" Noah asked, panic rising in his voice. Kiravesh touched her neck where a small device was attached to her skin like a silver droplet. My neural translator has a short-range jammer, but it was damaged in the crash. I need to repair it. Then, we can hide, at least temporarily. Noah thought quickly. There's an old mine about 20 miles from here. It goes deep into the mountain. Might block their scanners. A good plan, Kiravesh agreed. But we should abandon this vehicle soon. It is too easy to track. They drove for another 10 miles before pulling off the main road. Noah guided the truck into a dry creek bed where it would be hidden from the air. From there, they continued on foot, hiking across the rocky terrain. The sun was high when they reached the abandoned mine. The entrance was boarded up, but Noah found a gap big enough for them to squeeze through. Inside, it was cool and dark. Noah used the flashlight on his phone to guide them deeper into the tunnel. This should be far enough, Kiravesh said when they were about a quarter mile into the mountain. She sat down on a rock and touched the silver device on her neck. It glowed softly as she manipulated it with her slender fingers. Noah watched her work, still trying to process everything that had happened. So, about this marriage thing, he began. Kiravesh looked up. It is complicated. My people have elaborate rules about royal contact. The first touch between a royal and an outsider is significant. It establishes a bond. When you touched my ship, then my hand as I helped you into the vessel, you triggered the first stage of the royal claiming ritual. But that's crazy, Noah said. I didn't even know you existed until this morning. The laws were created millennia ago, when our empire was still young, she explained. They were designed to prevent diplomatic incidents during first contact with new species. The touch ritual was a way to ensure that any physical contact with royalty was treated with proper respect and consequence. And now I'm what? Your fiancé? Noah asked. Technically, we are in the first phase of bonding, Kiravesh said. The claiming is not complete. There are 3 phases. The first is the initial touch. The second is the declaration of intent. The third is the life bond. She looked at him seriously. But right now, this incomplete bond might be the only thing that saves your life. How so? Noah asked. Drazkul wants me as his mate to secure his family's position in the imperial hierarchy. My family controls diplomatic relations. His controls military forces. Our union would give him tremendous power. If he knows another has begun the claiming ritual, he will be within his rights to challenge you. But he cannot simply kill you without violating imperial law. Great, Noah said sarcastically. So instead of just shooting me, he has to challenge me to what, some kind of duel? Something like that, Kiravesh admitted. But more importantly, if we can complete at least the second phase of the bonding ritual, I can officially request imperial protection for you as my chosen consort. It would force Drazkul to retreat. So what's this second phase? Noah asked. The public declaration of intent, she said. We would need to broadcast it to a Veshian communication relay. My ship has that capability, but we would need to return to it. Noah ran his hands through his hair in frustration. So we need to go back to the place they're most likely looking for us? Eventually, yes, Kiravesh said. She finished adjusting her translator device, and it pulsed with a soft blue light. There. The jammer is active. It will mask our life signs from scanners, but only at close range. We are safe for now. A distant rumbling sound echoed through the mine shaft. Dust fell from the ceiling. What was that? Noah asked. They are scanning the area with sonic pulses, Kiravesh explained, looking for hidden structures or anomalies. This mine will show up, but so will many other natural caves in these mountains. It will take them time to search each one. Time we can use to figure out a plan, Noah said. Kiravesh studied him with those striking violet eyes. You are taking this remarkably well for someone whose world has just been turned upside down. Noah laughed softly. I'm an astrophysicist. I've spent my whole life looking at the stars and wondering if there was life out there. And now I know there is. It's terrifying and amazing all at once. He paused. I just wish it didn't come with a death threat attached. I am sorry to have brought this danger to you, Kiravesh said, genuine regret in her voice. I never intended to land on your planet. A solar flare damaged my ship's navigation system as I was fleeing the Imperial Palace. Earth was the nearest habitable world where I could make repairs. Why were you running away? Noah asked. I mean, you're a princess. Don't you have everything you could want? Kiravesh's expression darkened. Everything except freedom. My mother, the Empress, arranged my marriage to Commander Drazkul to secure a political alliance. I have seen how he treats those he considers beneath him. I would not spend my life with such a man, no matter the political advantage. Another rumble shook the mine. Closer this time. Small rocks fell from the ceiling. They're getting closer, Noah said. We need a plan. Kiravesh stood up. We need allies. Is there anyone you trust who might help us? Noah thought for a moment. Maybe. My old college roommate, Olivia. She works for the FBI now. She's stationed in the city about 50 miles from here. FBI? Kiravesh asked, her translator apparently struggling with the acronym. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Government agents, Noah explained. She investigates unusual occurrences. Actually, she's probably already been called about the observatory explosion. Can you contact her without being traced? Kiravesh asked. Noah pulled out his phone. No signal this deep in the mine. We'd have to go outside, and that's too risky. We'll have to find another way to reach her. Kiravesh's translator device suddenly flashed red. The jammer is failing. We need to move deeper into the mine. They hurried further down the shaft, the beam from Noah's phone lighting the way. The tunnel narrowed and the ceiling lowered, forcing them to crouch as they moved. Wait, Kiravesh whispered, grabbing Noah's arm. Listen. From behind them came the sound of footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps that echoed off the stone walls. They've found us, she whispered. Noah turned off his phone light, plunging them into darkness. He felt Kiravesh's hand find his in the dark, her skin slightly cooler than a human's. There's a side tunnel just ahead, he whispered, remembering the mine's layout from a previous visit. If we can reach it, it leads to another exit. They moved carefully in the darkness, feeling their way along the wall. Behind them, the footsteps grew louder. A beam of light swept the tunnel, nearly catching them before they ducked into the side passage. This way, Noah whispered, leading Kiravesh deeper into the mountain. The side tunnel was even narrower, barely wide enough for them to squeeze through in single file. They moved as quickly as they dared in the darkness, guided only by Noah's memory and the feel of the walls. After what seemed like an eternity, Noah felt a faint breeze on his face. We're getting close to the other exit. A shout echoed from the main tunnel behind them. Their pursuers had discovered the side passage. Run, Kiravesh said, her voice urgent but controlled. They abandoned stealth for speed, racing through the darkness toward the growing breath of fresh air. Noah's phone flashed on briefly, showing a light ahead. The exit, partially blocked by fallen rocks. We'll have to climb through, Noah said as they reached it. He pushed aside some of the smaller rocks, creating a gap just big enough to squeeze through. You go first. By the time the sun started to set, Noah and Kiravesh had made their way down the mountain and across several miles of desert. They were tired, thirsty, and covered in dust, but they had managed to avoid their pursuers for now. There's a small town just ahead, Noah said, pointing to distant lights. We can find water and maybe a way to contact Olivia. As they walked the final stretch to the town, Kiravesh adjusted the settings on her neural translator device. The lavender tint of her skin faded, and her violet eyes shifted to a more human-looking blue. Her silver-white hair darkened to blonde, a basic molecular appearance modifier, she explained when she saw Noah's surprised expression. It's part of the translator system. It won't fool the Veshian scanners, but it should be enough to avoid attracting attention from your people. The town was little more than a few streets with basic buildings, a gas station, a small grocery store, a diner, and a motel. Despite their exhaustion, they decided the diner was their best option. They needed food, and Noah hoped they might find a way to contact Olivia. The diner was nearly empty when they walked in. An older woman behind the counter barely looked up as they took a booth in the corner. Noah ordered coffee and sandwiches for both of them, then asked to use the phone. Payphone's broken, the waitress said. Cell service is spotty too, some kind of interference all day. Jammers, Kiravesh whispered when the waitress walked away. Drazkul is disrupting communications to isolate the area. Noah frowned. That means Olivia might already be here investigating. The observatory explosion would have brought the FBI, we just need to find her. They ate quickly, both realizing how hungry they were. Noah was just finishing his sandwich when the bell above the diner door jingled. He looked up and couldn't believe his eyes. Noah? A woman's voice said in surprise. Noah Patterson? Standing in the doorway was Olivia Harrington, dressed in a dark suit with her FBI badge visible on her belt. Her curly black hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her expression was a mixture of surprise and suspicion. Olivia, Noah said, trying to keep his voice casual. What a coincidence. Olivia walked over to their booth, her hand resting casually near her holstered gun. Coincidence? I don't think so. Your observatory explodes, you're nowhere to be found, and then I just happened to run into you in a diner 50 miles away. She looked at Kiravesh with narrowed eyes. Who's your friend? This is Kira, Noah said, using the shortened version of the princess's name. Kira, this is Olivia Harrington, my old college roommate, the one I told you about. Kiravesh nodded politely. A pleasure to meet you. Olivia didn't sit down. Noah, I need you to tell me what's going on. The observatory is gone, completely destroyed. Luckily, no one was in the building, but I have a dozen agents combing the area looking for what caused it. You wouldn't believe me if I told you, Noah said. Try me, Olivia replied. I've been working in the Unexplained Phenomena Division for 3 years. I've seen some weird stuff. Noah glanced at Kiravesh, who gave a small nod. Can we talk somewhere private? He asked. Olivia led them to her government SUV parked outside. Once they were all inside with the doors closed, Noah took a deep breath. The observatory picked up an unusual energy signature last night. I traced it to a crash site in the desert. What I found was... He gestured to Kiravesh. Her ship. Olivia stared at him. You expect me to believe she's an alien? In response, Kiravesh touched her neural translator device. The disguise melted away, revealing her true appearance. The lavender-tinted skin, the violet eyes, the silver-white hair. Olivia's hand moved to her gun, but she didn't draw it. Holy! I am Kira Vesh, Crown Princess of the Veshian Stellar Empire, Kira said formally. And your friend Noah has unwittingly become entangled in a royal crisis. For the next 15 minutes, they explained everything. Kira's escape from an arranged marriage, her emergency landing, Noah's accidental triggering of the royal claiming ritual, and the pursuit by Commander Drazkul. So you're telling me, Olivia said slowly, that Noah is now technically engaged to an alien princess and there's an alien military commander hunting you both across the New Mexico desert? That is correct, Kiravesh confirmed. Olivia ran a hand through her hair. If anyone else told me this story, I'd have them committed. But I've known you since college, Noah. You're many things, but you're not crazy. She paused. And you're definitely not a liar. Before Noah could respond, a high-pitched whine filled the air. Through the car windows, they saw a small, metallic sphere hovering outside the diner. Drone, Kiravesh said sharply. We've been found. The sphere suddenly emitted a bright pulse of light. The car's engine died and all the lights in the town went out at once. EMP, Olivia said, drawing her gun. Everyone out of the car, now. They scrambled out just as the drone fired a beam of energy at the vehicle. The SUV didn't explode. Instead, it simply collapsed in on itself, as if crushed by an invisible force. Gravity weapon, Kiravesh explained as they ran for cover behind the diner. It increases the gravitational pull in a localized area. Olivia checked her gun. Will bullets work against that thing? No, Kiravesh said, but the drone is just a scout. It's not designed for combat, only for tracking. As if to prove her wrong, the drone fired another gravity beam, tearing a chunk out of the corner of the building they were hiding behind. That didn't look like just tracking to me, Noah said. Olivia peered around the corner. There's a delivery truck behind the diner. If we can reach it. The drone fired again, forcing them to press themselves against the wall. I'll distract it, Olivia decided. You two make a run for the truck. Before they could argue, Olivia darted out from behind the building, firing her gun at the drone. The bullets bounced off its surface, but it turned to follow her movement. Now, Noah said, grabbing Kiravesh's hand. They sprinted for the truck. Noah yanked open the driver's door, thankfully unlocked, and they climbed in. The keys weren't in the ignition. Can you hotwire it? Kiravesh asked. I'm an astrophysicist, not a car thief, Noah replied, looking under the steering column. But I understand the basic principle. While he worked on the wires, Kiravesh kept watch. Your friend is leading the drone away, but it will return soon. Noah touched two wires together and the truck's engine roared to life. Got it. Now we need to get Olivia. Kiravesh pointed. There! Olivia was running toward them, the drone close behind her. Noah honked the horn and flashed the headlights. Olivia changed direction, heading for the truck. Go! She shouted as she reached them, jumping into the back seat. Drive! Noah floored the accelerator. The truck lurched forward, speeding away from the diner and the hovering drone. In the rear view mirror, he saw the drone pause, then start to follow. It's coming after us, he warned. I expected that, Olivia said. She reached into her jacket and pulled out a small device. This is an experimental EMP transmitter. We use it to disable electronic surveillance. Let's see if it works on alien tech. She pressed a button, and the device emitted a pulse of energy. Behind them, the drone wobbled in the air, then dropped like a stone to the ground. It worked, Noah exclaimed. Temporarily, Kiravesh cautioned, and it will have sent a distress signal to the hunter ships. We don't have much time. Then we need a plan, Olivia said. What exactly do we need to do to stop this Drazkul guy? We need to reach my ship, Kiravesh explained. If Noah and I can complete the second phase of the royal claiming ritual and broadcast it to the Veshian fleet, Drazkul will be forced to retreat. Harming a royal consort claimant is punishable by exile. So we're heading back to the crash site? Olivia asked. Yes, Noah confirmed, steering the truck onto the main highway. But Drazkul's forces will be guarding it by now. I have resources, Olivia said. My team is scattered across the area investigating the observatory explosion. I can call them in. No, Kiravesh said firmly. More humans involved means more risk of broader exposure. My people have strict protocols about pre-contact civilizations. This situation has already broken dozens of regulations. No offense, Princess, Olivia replied, but your people's protocols went out the window when your rejected boyfriend started blowing up Earth buildings and attacking Earth citizens. Kiravesh was quiet for a moment. You make a valid point, but we still can't involve more people, Noah said. Even if they believed us, it would only put them in danger. We need a different approach. They drove in silence for a few minutes, each lost in thought. Then Kiravesh spoke up. There is another way into my ship, she said. An emergency access point that only responds to royal biometrics. If we can approach from the far side of the canyon, we might be able to reach it undetected. And once we're inside, Noah asked, I will initiate the second phase of the claiming ritual and broadcast it to the fleet. That should force Drazkul to withdraw. What exactly does this second phase involve? Noah asked, suddenly nervous. A formal declaration of intent, Kiravesh explained. You must state your willingness to enter into a bond with me, and I must accept. The words must be spoken in the Veshian royal dialect, which I don't speak, Noah pointed out. I will teach you the necessary phrases, Kiravesh assured him. They are not complicated. The gas station was dark and deserted when they arrived. The power outage had spread across the region, leaving them to pump fuel manually by the light of Olivia's flashlight. The interference is getting worse, Olivia said, looking at her phone. No signal at all now. Drazkul is tightening the net, Kiravesh said. We must hurry. Once the truck was refueled, they gathered around the hood where Olivia spread out a map of the area. We're here, she said, pointing to a spot on the map. The crash site is approximately 30 miles northwest. The main roads will be watched, so we'll need to take these back trails. Her finger traced a winding path through the desert. That will take us close to the canyon from the south, Noah observed. If Kira's right about the emergency access point, we might be able to approach without being seen. We should wait for a storm, Kiravesh suggested. The atmospheric disturbance will help mask our approach from sensors. Olivia checked her phone's weather app. There's a desert thunderstorm predicted for just before dawn. If we time it right, we could use that as cover. Then we rest now and move out in a few hours, Noah decided. They found an abandoned barn a few miles off the main road where they could hide the truck and get some rest. Inside, Olivia set up a small battery-powered lantern she had in her FBI emergency kit. I should keep watch, she said. You two need to practice that alien marriage ceremony if we're going to pull this off. While Olivia stood guard at the door, Kiravesh continued teaching Noah the Veshian phrases for the claiming ritual. The words translate roughly to, I claim you as my heartbound, my star path companion, my eternal consort, she explained. But the meaning goes deeper in our language. It's about joining not just bodies or lives, but souls. And this is just the second phase? Noah asked. What's the third? The life bond, Kiravesh said softly. It is intimate. A physical and mental joining that creates a permanent connection between mates. Noah swallowed hard. I see. We will not need to complete that phase, Kiravesh assured him. The second phase is enough to invoke royal protection. Protocols. Right? Noah said, feeling strangely disappointed. Of course. They practiced the ceremony several more times until Noah could pronounce the alien words well enough to be understood. Then they took turns resting, with one person always on watch. As the sky began to lighten in the east, Olivia woke them. Storm's coming, we should move now. Outside, the air was heavy with the promise of rain. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, occasionally lit from within by flashes of lightning. They loaded into the truck and set off, following the rough trails that Olivia had identified. The going was slow. The truck bounced over rocks and through dry creek beds, its headlights cutting through the pre-dawn gloom. As they drove, the storm grew closer. Thunder rolled across the desert and the wind picked up, blowing dust across their path. This is good, Kiravesh said. The storm will interfere with their scanners. They were about 5 miles from the crash site when the first fat drops of rain began to fall. Within minutes, it was pouring. The truck's windshield wipers struggled to keep up with the deluge. We should leave the truck here, Olivia suggested. Continue on foot. Less chance of being detected. They parked behind a large rock formation and continued through the rain. The storm was in full force now, with lightning splitting the sky and thunder shaking the ground. They were soaked within minutes, but the rain provided excellent cover. After an hour of difficult hiking, they reached the edge of the canyon. From their position, they could see Kiravesh's ship in the center of the crater. It was no longer camouflaged, but sat gleaming in the storm, its metallic surface reflecting the lightning flashes. Around it, several smaller vessels were landed, and figures in sleek armor moved about, clearly guarding the area. Drazkul's forces, Kiravesh whispered. At least a dozen warriors. How do we get past them? Noah asked. Kiravesh pointed to a narrow path that led down into the canyon on the far side from where the guards were concentrated. The emergency access is on that side of the ship. If we can reach it, I can open it with my royal biometrics. Olivia pulled a small pair of binoculars from her pocket and studied the scene. There's a patrol pattern. 2 guards circling the ship, 4 minutes to complete a full rotation. We'll have a small window to cross the open space. I'll create a diversion, Kiravesh said. My neural translator has 1 charge left in its emergency beacon. I can set it to activate on the opposite side of the canyon. No, Noah said firmly. It's too dangerous. We go together or not at all. Kiravesh looked at him with surprise. Then something like respect flickered in her violet eyes. Very well. Together. They worked their way carefully down the canyon path, using the storm as cover. The rain made the rock slippery, and more than once they nearly fell. But eventually, they reached the canyon floor. Now they had to cross about 100 yards of open ground to reach the ship. They waited in the shelter of a large boulder, watching the guard patrols through Olivia's binoculars. "When the next lightning strike hits, we run," Olivia said. "The flash and thunder should cover our movement." They didn't have to wait long. A massive bolt of lightning struck nearby, illuminating the entire canyon in stark white light. In the deafening crack of thunder that followed, they sprinted across the open ground. They were halfway to the ship when a shout went up. One of the guards had spotted them. "Keep moving," Olivia yelled, drawing her gun. She fired several shots, not aiming to hit but to distract. Energy beams lanced through the rain, striking the ground near their feet. Noah felt the heat of one pass close to his face, singeing his hair. Kira Vesh grabbed his hand, pulling him forward. "Almost there." They reached the side of the ship. Kira Vesh placed her palm against the smooth hull, leaving a glowing handprint. Nothing happened. "Why isn't it working?" Noah shouted over the storm. "The systems are in lockdown mode," Kira Vesh explained, her voice tight with tension. "I need to override it." More energy beams hit the ground around them. Olivia returned fire, taking cover behind a rock outcropping. "Hurry," she called. "We've got company." Through the rain, Noah could see armored figures approaching, weapons drawn. At their center was a taller figure with more elaborate armor, moving with confident purpose. "Drazkul," Kira Vesh said, her voice filled with dread. She worked frantically at the ship's hull, her fingers dancing over the glowing handprint she had left. The print changed colors, cycling through patterns of light. Come on," she muttered. With a soft hiss, a section of the hull receded, revealing a small opening. "Inside, now," Kira Vesh ordered. Noah helped Olivia to her feet. She had been grazed by an energy beam and was limping slightly. Together they squeezed through the opening into the ship. The interior was dimly lit with a soft blue glow. The opening sealed behind them, cutting off the sound of the storm and the battle outside. "This way," Kira Vesh said, leading them through a narrow corridor. "We need to reach the command center." The ship was smaller inside than Noah had expected, with curved walls that seemed to flow into each other seamlessly. There were no sharp edges anywhere, and the floor felt slightly springy underfoot. They reached a circular room at the center of the ship. A raised platform stood in the middle, surrounded by what looked like control panels, though they had no buttons or screens, just smooth surfaces with glowing patterns. "The communication array is still functional," Kira Vesh said, placing her hands on one of the panels. It lit up at her touch, responding to her biometrics. "I can broadcast the claiming ritual to the fleet." A heavy thud shook the ship. Then, another. "They're trying to break in," Olivia said, checking her gun. "I'm down to my last few rounds." "We must hurry," Kira Vesh said. She guided Noah to the center platform. "Stand here. When the system activates, recite the phrases I taught. You." Noah stepped onto the platform, which began to glow beneath his feet. Kira Vesh stood opposite him, her violet eyes intense in the blue light of the ship. "Are you sure about this?" Noah asked quietly. "Once we do this, there's no going back. I'm sure," Kira Vesh replied. "Are you?" Noah thought about his life before today, the lonely nights at the observatory, the stars that had always seemed so distant, and then he thought about Kira Vesh, her courage, her determination, her willingness to risk everything for freedom. "Yes," he said, "I'm sure." Kira Vesh placed her hands on a panel and the entire room lit up. A holographic display appeared above them, showing what looked like a star map. "Begin," she said. Noah took a deep breath and started to recite the alien phrases she had taught him. The words felt strange on his tongue, but he pronounced them carefully, remembering what each one meant. "I claim you as my heart-bound, my star-path companion, my eternal consort," he said in the Veshian royal dialect. "I offer my life in service to our bond, my strength in defense of your honor, my soul in harmony with your spirit." As he spoke, the platform beneath them pulsed with light. The star map above them zoomed in on a particular point which began to flash. "The fleet has received the transmission," Kira Vesh said with relief. "Now I must respond to complete the ritual." She began to speak in the same language, her voice rising and falling in a pattern that sounded almost like music. The ship hummed in response, the lights pulsing in rhythm with her words.